what is the definition to you of mindset driven change?
Yeah.
And then we'll segue into why it's so important and maybe what leaders can do to better have a better impact on this.
Yeah. So I think the behavioral led change is the kind of not the opposite, because these things aren't either ors, but largely what organizations have done is that they have relied upon doing things like developing competency frameworks. So you have your strategy, you figure out what competency you need to build in the organization, then you get down into defining what those behaviors look like, which is fine if those are competencies and behaviors that people are comfortable with. But as we move into increasing cycles of change where nothing seems stable for very long in most organizations, and what you're asking people to do are things that are either unknown to them, this is the first time they've done them, or represent a high degree of ambiguity of risk to them personally, then guess what? They don't do it.
Hmm.
They do what is safe. They do what their leaders are doing, which is often not these things. You know, their leaders say one thing and then they do something else. So it tends to be that, you know, kind of behavioral led change is telling people what to do, but not how to do it. And that is often a constant refrain we hear from subordinates within these organizations is, my leaders told me that they need to do these things, but you know, how to do it, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. And the leader doesn't know how to do it because they're not doing it. So mindset behavior driven change, which I just want to be careful, is not it's not the antithesis of behavioral change. It's something that has to go hand in hand with it, is an understanding of what needs to change in me, in my interior, in terms of how I see the world, how I feel about things, how I think about things, in order for those behaviors to become possible, sustainable, practical, and so on, that I can start to learn. And if you back up a step, you have to kind of redefine what mindset is, because the traditional mindset definition is the set of beliefs that people hold about stuff, and it tends to be in the sense that people have pretty got much a fixed set of beliefs around things, and
Hmm.
that there is a small number of people with a growth mindset. That didn't actually match with my understanding of how people's interior responses to change operate. So the other part of the definition that sometimes people use is not to describe behavior, but to describe an idea. So people hold an idea about the world. So that could be like a project management mindset or a financial mindset or something like that. But that isn't their interior set of beliefs. That is something they use to make sense of the world. So it's either how I think or what I use to think are the two definitions. Those are actually two parts of what a mindset, but there's a third part which looks at the way in which we make sense of ourselves in situations, which is how I feel. How I feel, think, and see is really the definition of mindset. So
Hmm.
when you understand that, you start to think, well, there's a redefinition of culture here, which is what you do when you bring somebody into a new organization is you teach them how to feel, think, and see. You tell them how to look at the world. You tell them what assumptions to make about situations. And you tell them how to feel about that situation. That's how you basically create an environment in which you create common reference points for people. And so much is made about the consequences of that, the kind of outgrowth of culture, like symbols and processes and so on. It misses what's actually the core. Because if you go into one team or one organization, you can literally feel that culture change immediately, and you will adapt to that very quickly if you
Hmm.
spend any time in it, which gives rise to the lie that culture is hard to change. And I find it's actually really easy to change when mindset of leaders changes. So mindset driven behavioral change is when people change their mindset, then the behaviors change very quickly, because how they feel about them, how they think about them, and how they see the importance of them becomes natural.